Are we rolling? Are we live? Are we rolling? Are we live? Let us know. Good morning, good afternoon, people. Manchester United fans all over the world. This is Mick Rubys, Mufc Realist TV, with another takeover podcast with Paul White. For you who has been following us, this is the third podcast that we do, and alarmingly, we are going to debunk the news that came out yesterday in regards that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is kind of coming out in the reports that he is looking to take majority and leave the Glazers with 20% still within Manchester United. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your feelings. But we are here to unpack everything the way we used to do, with facts, logic, reasoning. And that's what we are. MUFC Realist TV. Take a sip on your coffee. We'll be back in 20 seconds after the intro.
Has the Premier League ever been more challenging?
Welkom. Dit is mijn home and I want to achieve success. Okay?
Good morning, Mr. Paul White. How are you today, sir?
Extremely tired, but we'll not go into that.
Have a sip on your coffee, mate. You deserve it. You look like you need a coffee. Like everyone else watching the stream, drop a like, drop a comment, have a sip on your coffee. We have a few things to unpack today in today's Q&A session, as usual. Paul, in regards, it's been a little bit of a meltdown. There's been some reports coming out in the media. Of course, we're coming to the final crescendo in the bidding process. And there was some... It spread like wildfire yesterday regarding Sir Jim Ratcliffe, or I call him Sir INEOS, that he is offering a way out for the Glazers to remain in power still, or a minority power. Paul, it has been reported that he will own the majority and leave Avram and Joel with 20%. What's your take on it, mate? What is going on there, Paul? What is going on? What? Tell me your thoughts and feelings around this.
Well, I think first things us as fans need to take on board. With this deal coming to the table, it utterly, completely eliminates any chance of a minority investment from one of the other companies, because Sir Jim is basically doing in this deal what the Glazers have wanted the Elliott Group and the Carlisle Group to buy out the other siblings and for them to have some form of control or some form of stay at United. But I've mentioned this in many spaces before. I talked about this exact, almost down to the detail deal about 2 to 3 weeks ago. But the only way I would have thought he would have pulled this out if he knew that Qatar were going in and they failed. So he would use it as a last-ditch chance to get United. Now it just seems as he doesn't care if Qatar are going to get it or not. He's just doing it. I think he's got information that Qatar are looking more likely to get it.
Yeah.
So what he's done is he's not sent a deal in yet, and the deal is not, I want to buy out the 4 Glazers. What he's done is, this is my valuation of the club. My bid, for argument's sake, we could say is £5.1 billion, including debt. So what he's saying, if you don't want to take this whole amount, I'm happy enough for the 4 siblings to take their share of the money. Joel and Avram to take their share and to cut their percentage down. Now, people get this wrong. People are rounding figures up. Joel and Avram are not going to have 20% of the company, because if they own 20% of the company, their B shares are still active. They need to drop below the 10%, both of them. So what you'll probably find is that it will be 18%, with Sir Jim controlling 51% that gives him final say. But this is a last-ditch attempt. This is a last-ditch attempt for him to basically...
This is the way... Yeah.
It's the way he does business.
It is gamemanship, according to my opinion. Seen this so many times. We're coming to the final end, and there's no way, if you're going into the 4th round or last round in a bidding process. I mean, everyone knows what an NDA is. We're not going to disclose it because Nobody knows what the others are bidding in a certain way. But if you know you're a losing hand, it's called gamemanship. It's like playing chess, right? So I see it two plausible ways, Paul, and bear with me. I'm going to throw it out to you, and I want to pick your brain regarding this. It could be a filler, like something called a pulse survey, that you go out and leak this information out to the media to just give it a try to see, if I do this way, what would be the fans' reaction? For me, it looks like two ways. Number one, INEOS has leaked this out to the press just to give a sort of a feel. If we do this, what will be the fan reaction, right? And obviously, for me, then this is political suicide because it's been backlashed, right? Majority of the fans don't want Glazers near the club, right? And why would you give them 20% power? One point B in this is I responded to Kieran Maguire 2 weeks ago in a tweet when he actually presented this report regarding the B shares and stuff like that that can be converted. And I said something very interesting. And I said, this is something what Joel and Avram are trying to do, similar to what Malcolm did prior to 2005 leverage takeover, because Malcolm invested approximately 20% as a minority into Manchester United, and by default became then the opportunity to own 100% almost of Manchester United. So this is kind of a model that I saw, and I kind of alarmed that Joel and Abram are looking to do. By all means, to keep the claws still into the club, because in 10 to 15 years, this club might be valued up to 15, 20 million, and it's a good investment. Point number two in this way, in this gamemanship of chess, is this could be a smear campaign also launched by Katani's PR team, who we know I think they used to be the PR team for the Premier League, and now they're working for Sir Jasim as well. Because it comes down to the eye of the beholder, the eye of the perception, how you want to proceed as an owner. It could also be filled out by the Qatari team also as a gamemanship to say, look, here we offer 100%. We already done our manifesto and commitment to the fan base and what we're going to do to this club. Well, Sir Jim Rattciffe has only said, hey, I'm only going to buy 69% of the shares. I'm only going to do X, Y, Z. I'm not going to clear the debt. I'm going to actually borrow money to run the club, but this is on INEOS. And then at the end of the day, what Sir Jim Ratcliffe or INEOS are doing is political suicide or business suicide, because the way I see it, it's not enough. It's not enough money, and you got to look at the contingency of running this club as well. Paul, this is my take on it from the news that came out yesterday. Of course, I have further information after speaking to a lot of people, including yourself, including Mr. Brown and Kieran Maguire, and a lot of people, including people in the Middle East, with QIA and investment authorities in the Middle East as well. So, Paul, what's your take on the theory that I kind of debunked and read between the lines and done my investigation around?
Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to look at where the source of this brief came from. This brief came from, I've totally forgotten his name now.
Mike Keagan, was it?
Mike Keagan, yeah. Mike Keagan has had his finger on the pulse of this whole transfer thing from one side and one side only, and that has been the Sheih Jasim side, the 9-2 Foundation side.
Yeah.
If this was a ploy by Sir Jim to try and gain a pulse reading of the fan base, you don't go to him. He would go to somebody that would write a more favourable article. And in that article, there would be bit lines and catch lines that would, like, Sir Jim believes this is the only way to get United away from the Glazers. This is the only way he sees the club actually being sold. If he doesn't do this, there could be a minority investment on the table. There was none of that. The whole report was basically his deal is one of his offers on his multi-layer deal, because it is a multi-layer deal, is the Glazers stay at 20% and they stay in power and the other four are gone. That reads to me like, look, guys, this is what he's planning. Yeah. Make your voices heard as United fans. the Glazers shouldn't be involved in this club in any shape, form, or fashion, be it no power or any say. And I think this is a plant by a very good PR team that basically can read the room. Because if we can say one thing about Sheikh Jasim's team through his initial statement for hitting the bid into any bit of PR that's come out, he has his pulse on the United fans and what they want. And I don't see Sir Jim being stupid enough to put this out before the Friday.
No, I don't think so. But just want to put as a disclaimer for the viewers out there: this is alternative. This is not factual statements from what we are presenting. Just for the disclaimer, because if you've been watching our podcast, we are millions of fans all over the world. We have people in different positions. The part of 1958, the protest. Of course, we have a protest coming up on Sunday, which is planned. And definitely what you're saying, that there's a gamemanship. If Mike Keagan has been spot on, he's been fed by the Sheikh Jasim's team, there's certain ways you can get information from. And we as a community, we're here to offer alternative facts, what media is not reporting on, right? Because hey, you can read between the lines, you can take that information, take it with a pinch of salt, but at the end of the day, what you read and what you hear here, it's up to you to decide. We're just presenting you with the alternative facts and news, as we've been following this very closely, looking at the financial spikes, the curves, following closely and speaking to a lot of people within closely to this deal, Paul.
I think also some people that read the headlines and didn't actually read the article, and Ben Jacobs as well has been talking about this, and I said it to him months ago as well.
I saw that.
What he also said in the article is, once this deadline goes on Friday, this process is going to move very quickly.
Yeah.
So
but there's one thing that I want to pick, because obviously this transfer journalist is taking a crash course in bidding processes and finances, right? So it looks to me, when I read it, it's like a textbook thing, but there's nobody that actually come out and say that there isn't actually deadline by Friday. This is kind of created like a phantom by the media, according to my opinion, because it's never been a linear process. It's always been a bilinear process.
Usually in a takeover situation, yes. But then if you take last week's Financial Times article, where they mentioned that the bidders are under pressure to show how quickly they can do a deal once a deal is agreed, you look at how they set up the third round, supposedly of bidding, where they've done due diligence that you usually don't do in an exclusive period, is the little evidence is suggesting that they want to have this done quickly once all parties are able to complete an offer.
Okay.
I think we are going to move quick after this deadline.
I think so too. Now
it's not going to be a week of waiting. It's not.
We're gonna backtrack a little bit in the timeline, because the facts and figures and timelines never lies in certain ways. So just to refresh people's memory, in the bidding sales process, there's 4 stages, right? And in this sales process, there's 4 individuals or parties involved, right? So of course you have the Rainey Group led by Joe Rivich, right? He was the one that was facilitating the Chelsea takeover as well, the bidding process, right? On the left top corner, you see something called Latham and Watkins, and they are the legal representatives for Manchester United PLC, right? Everything goes through them as well, from a legal perspective. Then you have the Rothschilds Bank or Rothschilds Company, and they are the representatives for the shareholders, right? The stakeholders of the minority of shares, correct, Paul?
Yeah, they also sit in the United board.
They also sit in the United board. So these people, and then of course you have the Glazer families, right? And on top of that pyramid, the ones that are day-to-day operational involved and interested in Manchester United is Avram and sorry, I don't want to mention Joel. Yeah, Joel and Avram. The rest of the 4 siblings, they don't really care about Manchester United. So it's just been reported that they don't just get involved. They just want their money. And of course, in November, they came out to say we are looking for strategical investments, alternatives, because they run the club and finances to the ground. Would I say they are stupid owners? I don't know, because they're surrounded. They're paying people. They're paying advisors to tell them what to do. But at the end of the day, if you have treated the club with a cash cow, just utilizing credit facility by Bank of America, you kind of extorted all your leverage, and there's no other way out. So this is point number one, what I want to mention, that there's no way, even if a minority investor comes in, the finances of the club is in dire. So in this bidding process, people, there's always been the preparation phase, which was, what you saw in November, right? When they came out to say this was already earlier processed, I would say Q3 2022, where Rainy Group came in and actually signed a deal with the terms. And that means that the entire family needs to sign off that this is okay. This is what we are agreeing to. And off the Rainy goes in terms of preparation and the marketing, looking for bidders, hunting. And they're also responsible for drafting the NDA together with Latham and Watkins, which is the legal terms, right? So that's what, therefore, you cannot say certain things and leak out to the press, right? But what you've seen here in terms of the gamemanship is, it's that, like, it's like a boxing fight, like, you're throwing punches in the wind in a way, just to sort of get your fan base on board.
Well, there's an actual very loophole in the NDAs, and it's something that's been exposed in other deals, and I'm surprised they haven't plugged it. Is when you sign the NDA, you commit that you will not talk about your conversations with Rain Group, about your bid.
No. I
Doesn't
mean,
stop you from, no. But it doesn't stop you from talking about somebody else's bid.
Oh, but we had Thomas Siliakos, the Finnish bidder. We had him on one of our streams, and we tried to sort of get out the information. And obviously, he was talking a lot, to be honest. But it was kind of good to hear his point. But he's out of the race. I don't think he was ever in the race, to be honest. And we kind of debunked it. But just to go on, like, there is certain processes, and this takes time. This is like, billions of dollars we're talking about, and we're talking about purchasing the English crown jewel of football, right, which is Manchester United. Everyone wants to have a piece of it, and we can understand that. Even if you've been bad business owners, I'm not defending you, Joel and Avram, if you're watching the stream, which I doubt you do. You've been bad business owners, and for 17 years you've just been leveraging out and even buying in transfer market, buying players on credit, right? And this is kind of caught up at the end of the day. So however you flip around, you have a football operation in the summer, you don't have any more credit to leverage on to buy, or you are forced in a corner. The back themselves in the corner, the back is against the wall. So if you read everything in terms of the finances, in terms of the current situation and their current situation with Tampa Buccaneers and the business they own in US, they are forced to sell. And this, according to my opinion, they went to the market with the Rainy Group to explore different opportunities. But there's always been that glimmer of hope. Can we stay?
Yeah.
Right? Quickly, because I don't want to cover everything, but this is a presentation that I've been keeping on. I've been doing this for months and months and months. And everyone's talking about the due diligence, which is, I think we're past that. We're on the final stage. So in the due diligence process, that means that you oversee like everything. Like, this is kind of the period where you look at the finances of Manchester United. You ask questions with the legals, you get replies back and forward in order to formalize the final bid. And at the same time, you are like declaring the shadow directors as well, who's going to be part from your delegation, who's going to sit on the board, who's going to be involved. Everything is transparent, right? So therefore, all these groups are involved. But I believe more, if I quick jump to the next slide, is that we are in the contract and conclusion phase. Now, I want to sort of talk to you, Paul, about something. We got to have a serious conversation, because there's been some silence. Of course, we had the holy month of Ramadan, and a lot of people were saying, no, there's nothing going on there, right? And the title of this video or podcast is No Third Bid. All right. What we covered this last time. So what is the third bid in your opinion, Paul?
It's just a waiting period. They've used the third bidding phase to basically get everybody to do their due diligence, get everybody to ask every question they need to ask, and to, in layman terms, submit a final offer. So there was reasons why they couldn't do an exclusivity period. You can argue if you believe the reasons or not. I believe they're genuine. So they've just gone around another way of doing it. So Qatar come in with their bid. If the bid's not accepted, everybody else has done their due diligence, so they can quickly move on to the next target.
We mentioned something in our last podcast that you mentioned something very interesting, that Sir Jim Ratcliffe, not Sir Jim Ratcliffe, but Sheih Jasim Tahani and the delegations had put in the bid and say, guys, this is our bid. Now we're going on Ramadan, and this is what's going on. In the interim, while they've been having Ramadan, Glazers has gone out, or the Rainy Group has gone out. Okay, it's not a linear process, so let's see what else is out there, right? And they where you have, I think it was Elliot, and who else came in there?
Carlisle.
Carlisle and stuff like that. But Carlisle and all that, they were just the minority investors, per my understanding as well. For me, the third bid has always been the sort of kind of mini exclusivity. This is what I call the due diligence process. And this is where you come to an understanding the contract and conclusion, right? That means that you look at, is it asset or share deal, right? This is what we've been seeing, like, purchasing and all the Class A, Class B shares, Paul. Right? This is part of the bidding process, of course. And what we are working towards is the letter of intent, right? This is the way I see it, right? The third bid for me has always been about the communication back and forward, because this is a multi-million or billion-dollar deals, and there's so many parties involved, as disclosed, right? So Sheikh Jasim's team, there are people that not, that's the part of that team that are not fasting, they're not Muslims, that's been working on this deal 24/7, according to my opinion, though. And you've seen this, the delegation in London. Last week, there was credible reports that Rain Group, Latham and Watkins, and Rain, and delegates from the Glazer family had a 2 days financial meeting in New York to discuss everything else. And we've seen numerous reports that, Bank of America has also been present. Now, this could be the final crescendo to say that, okay, we have flipped everything, we looked at everything, and now we're coming to a contract and conclusion phase where we are giving the exclusivity. Or maybe Sheikh Jasim has already been having a mini exclusivity during this 3 weeks period of Ramadan fasting. What's your take on that, Paul? I mean, we have different views, though. But
yeah, it's. I don't think we're really going to know until Friday anyway. We're really not going to get any kind of information to Friday. We may get a brief today. It's just, all I take from what's happened in the last 24 hours is the Glazers are selling one way or another. They're gone. To a certain extent, they're gone to an extent, be it to Sheikh Jasim, or be the 4 Glazers are gone and the other 2 keep a very, very small portion of the club. That's all I really take away from it.
Is it safe to say that this might be our last takeover podcast?
Hopefully it'll be Done Deal podcast next. We'll do like a
celebration, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll get the tie and the suit on, and we'll do slow sports news. Or get Jim White on transfer deadline day.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of movement happening all over the place, and currently at the moment as well. There's stuff happening too.
I've been speaking to the club in the transfer market as well, and that hasn't stopped, to be honest. They're still going for the targets. That means the movement is happening. That means that they have some form of confirmation that there will be funds in order to plan for the summer ahead. So that's a positive sign as well. On the other hand, I've also been speaking to Qatari side as well, and they feel quite confident, right? It's just backing what I've been saying, that they put in a substantial bid that can't be refused in certain sense. And I don't see, if I track back again with Sir Jim Ratcliffe bidding, to be saying that first and foremost, then if you have that evaluation from Qatar side, which is an estimating of about 7.2, 7.3 billion US dollars, is what I've been confirmed as well. I take it with a pinch of salt. As you said, I will believe it when I see it's been announced by the club. The rest is just information sharing and debunking, right? Well, I lost my train of thought. I hold my coffee. Where was I? So Sir Jim, yeah, coming back to Sir INEOS again. I'm sorry for calling you Sir INEOS, Sir Jim, if you're watching this. But for me, it's just not contingent that you cannot compete with this bid. If you know that this is the current winning bid on the table, you still have to buy out, like, the four siblings, 4 billion, right? To be honest. And then you have to kind of clear the debt in certain ways, which he also said he will not do, although he will put it on INEOS. But that money needs to come back sooner or later, like as a return on investment. And then you got to look at funds to sort of look at the infrastructure. But where's the rest? How are you going to run the club? Then there's arguments to say, well, Manchester United is big enough to run on their own profits, their own operationals, but still it's not enough. So
No,
definitely,
it's not.
no. So therefore, like what we started with, when we started with this podcast, to start the opening line is this gamemanship? Is this the final straw? What we're seeing, the two giants are playing, a gamemanship to say, hey, I'm about to lose. I'm throwing out these fillers. How do you feel about this? And it's backlashing. You have protests coming up on Sunday. This is hurting sponsorship, and this is also hurting continuously forever who is buying the club, because at the end of the day, if it's going to be a peaceful protest, it's fine, but if it's going to be a violent protest, it's definitely hurting the club and the reputation and sponsorship. Paul?
Yeah, I don't even think this is a takeover, Sir Jim. This is leaked. I think it's leaked by the Qatari side. I think they realised he's going to be doing this type of bid. He's wanting to do a last, I wouldn't even say a last ditch. This is another evidence of the fact that the process is now being sped up, because Sir Jim would have shown this if his first bid fails and the Qatari's bid fails. Then he'll go back and go, well, I can do this. So obviously, this means that when they say it's final bids, I think they're serious. I think they're serious that this is the final round of bidding. We cannot waste any more time on this. So Sir Jim has put both of his offers on the table of, this is the money I'm going to give you fully for the club. If that doesn't work and the Qatari's bid doesn't work, I'm willing to negotiate to keep Joel and Avram in some form of capacity. So all the evidence that's coming together, the fact that we, for the last week, haven't heard anything about minority investments anymore. There's been no talk about even preferred equity investments. No. And the fact that Sir Jim is setting up a multi-level bid suggests to me that, yes, they are serious. There is a deadline on Friday. You get your bid in by Friday. We want to have a preferred bidder in place by next week. It is speeding up.
This is backtracking to what I said. If I back the tape, which we can't right now because we're live, to say that during this period where, before the Ramadan, the Sheikh Jasim's team put in a substantial bid, right? I mentioned some figures, but this has been the period to say to Sir Jim Ratcliffe, hey, can you opt this bid, right? Can you do something about it, right? So is this, Sir Jim, is this your answer, to be honest? Is this your answer to go in and buy 69%, which means about 51%?
Yeah, it'd be 51%. And
but you still have,
9.
But you will still not having full control of the club, because you will still have Joel and Avram sitting there and affecting every decision as well, right?
Well, no, not really. No,
not
because No, because this is why I say the 20% line is just rounding up. He'll take them down to the 18% that's outstanding. He'll have 51%.
Yeah,
Joel and Avram will have 18%, and there's 31% on the public stock
yeah,
market.
on the
So,
public, yeah.
in all sense and purposes, he is in full control of the club.
But
He can,
this still means that if you're still public, there's still dividends is going to be taken out from the
no,
club. No?
nope, no,
Okay.
because
Fact debunk.
he has full control of the club. He can remove every Glazer from the board of the club, and he can put the mantra down that no dividends payments are going to be made
All right.
from the club.
All right.
The board of directors have to vote on the dividends.
Mm.
He's
And
on the
this
board
is
of directors. He votes down the dividends. The thing doesn't pass. He can't be outvoted. So he
yeah,
basically has full control of the club. This is what I've been trying to say to people. Even if this deal goes through, worst case scenario, because the Qataris can't buy United because there's a roadblock
yeah,
in the way, be Joel and Avram, this still takes full control away from the Glazers. They just keep that 18%, and hopefully 10 years down the line, they're still associated with United,
yeah.
and the price is treble.
This is
They make a lot more
I
money.
spoke to a very credible, highly respected source as well that said to me, I'm not allowed to say his name or nothing in certain sense, but he said that uh, that's why Sir Jim Ratcliffe's solicitor felt very confident that they might win the bid, because they're playing on that the Glazers to remain in the club. But then on the other hand, if I flip it, it's about, okay, who do I pick right now? And rest assured that Sir Jasim's team has offered a contingency plan for the Glazers to say, if you are selling the club 100%, we offer you a pathway for you to do a lot of business in our region. We're opening up a lot of doors. So it's kind of like sweetening the deal, right? We talked about this in the last podcast. If you have
Yeah.
two competitive bids going head to head, right? Who do you pick? Right? You see, you're putting your house on the market and you bid exactly, you have two bidders bidding exactly the same, right? It's got to be some differentiator, like the sweetener, the cream on the crop. One, as you said, is less, but offer them to stay in a longer period of time. You are gaining. It's like an investment, right? You invest in the stock market and you see your money grow. Fine. The other one is buying full outright. Everyone walks away with 1 billion in the pocket each. All the six siblings are happy, but we offer you also a contingency business plan, right? We're opening the doors, to the pearl of the Middle East. Like, there's a lot of construction, there's a lot of oil and gas, there's a lot of opportunities. And I've been told that this conversation has been happening with the Glazer family to say, of course, you saw them mingling around in the World Cup, meeting with all the royalties and different people. So for me, this has just been media catching up. This been now in this stage that both camps are playing a little bit of an information war, throwing it out there. This is my take on Paul, at the end of the day, by just being analysis in a way. But you gather all the facts and information, and at the end of the day, it's up to you to decide. But I certainly don't believe in anything what the press and media are reporting at the moment. As I said, Mike Keagan has been spot on in everything that's been saying so far. But we're also here to debunk what he was saying in that article. And you said that he's actually working close to Sheikh Jasim's camp, right?
Yeah, the thing about we could debunk why the deal not going through and stuff, and at the end of the day, money talks.
Yeah,
Sheikh
follow the
Jasim,
money.
all Sheikh Jasim has to do is up his bid.
Yeah.
But it is a very real offer, and if we do, as you say, we don't know exactly what's going through the minds of the six
Yeah.
siblings. If
Oh,
the stumbling block is Joel and Avram, and Keagan said in his thing, and people were misquoting him, this is the preferred bid for Joel and Avram. This is not the preferred bid for the other four siblings. It is the preferred bid for Joel and Avram because they retain association with United. People need to actually they have no say in what would happen at United. Prepare for the worst to get the best. They will have no say at United. They can't take dividends out. They can sit in the boardroom and they can say whatever they want, but it will just be all
Yeah,
Sir
Paul.
Jim just was not interested.
I think we need to go to the VR room here as well. I mean, calling the VR room from a football terms, meaning you, the viewers, you, the fans, the loyal fans, global fan base all over the world, for contributing in the chat line. We're going to Gareth Mercer. Welcome to the stream, Gareth. Ratcliffe can do one. No toll, no toll Neos toll. Hashtag full sale only. Big up, Gareth. Thank you for your support as well. Let's go to Keagan. Kylan, more like option 2 for sure. Yeah, we talked about option 2 for sure. I guess you're referring to that it's been briefed up by Qataris in terms of another one. Oh yeah, Tashik Janssen, he was actually messaging me earlier today. Big up Tashrik. Mick and Paul. So basically, Sir Jim knows that that the fans will revolt against this idea, and that it's business suicide for him to even release this.
Yeah, I honestly think if it had come down to where the Qataris couldn't do a deal with the Glazers, this would be a good option. As I said, as I explained this deal to people, if you were to take me back a year ago and say Sir Jim has come along and he's bidding £5 billion for Manchester United, but Joel and Avram would have to stay around about 20% of the club, you would have bit the hand off them. You would have said, yeah, that's a deal, go and do it. The problem is now you have a far better alternative on the table. You have a person that
100%.
cares about the club, has a lot of money, and can invest a lot of money.
Yeah. Tash is further saying, in my opinion, if you read between the lines, which is what we have to do, we just don't read headlines. We have to read the full article, right? To dissect things. He's basically taking himself out of the race because there's no way he comes back from this. I might be wrong, but that's just my opinion, mate. I think you raise a very valid point, Tash, because in nowadays people don't have patience. People want information, fast information now. Give me. But is what I said earlier. Like it's information that's been put out there. You need to take it with a pinch of salt. You need to use your logic and reasoning. And at the end of the day, it's your opinion to decide. This is the way journalism used to be. Nowadays, it's just headlines and clickbaits. So therefore, you got to call a spade. What's clickbait? What's not? And we know that's this has been a lot of clickbaits, and there's been a lot of sports journalists and outlets have been proved themselves to be completely off the line and off the block. Going next, Mohammed Altaf, Sheikh Jasim to walk away from this deal.
Actually, this is a good one because I've always wanted to answer this one. When people say, because of this deal, Sheikh Jasim's going to walk away, people don't understand. He is not only carrying the weight of this deal on his shoulders, he's carrying the weight of this deal on every person in Qatar. Like, I'm not talking as in the sense of the state, I'm talking in the sense of the people. People need to understand the Qatari general public are getting excited about this. Yeah. They want this to happen.
There's no way he's gonna walk away.
You think the celebrations from United fans is going to be massive once this deal goes through? If it is Qatar and the 9-2 Foundation that ends, you'll see the celebrations in that country will be.
Let me just put it out there. Like, for me, that lived in the region for 10 years. Like, for you to go out public like this, you don't go out public with returning back with egg in your face. You go all in. That's it. There's no backing. There's no retreat. No surrender. If you know what I mean. There's fearless competition between Qatar and Dubai or UAE, who is going to be the biggest, the best. It's a bragging right. It's just the way it is. You build the biggest, the beautiful buildings, and you put it out there. It's PR. It is, and there's no way they're going to sort of back out from there. So, and I think also the Rain Group has been clever in this way to understand that they wanted, and they have endless pockets of money. And I think that Rain Group is trying to be squeezed. They tried at least to squeeze out every single dollar available from this Qatari. So, Sheikh Jasim. That's my opinion, though. Tashrik, Tashrik is also saying, no way, Mohammed. They won't come this far just to walk away. 100% what I just said. But no, I say Sir Jim is local lad.
I love that line. He's a local lad that lives in the south of France, has been to Chelsea's ground more than he's been into Old Trafford's in the last 10 years.
Yeah, local lad. If you're a local lad, if you're claiming that you are a Manchester boyhood fan, there's no way you're gonna allow Glazers to still be there if you know what the majority of the fan base are feeling. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Ask yourself the question, why would you do that? Unless fact number 3, you're out of the race and you've just been used as a pawn, as a PR, right? To opt the more bit, to squeeze up more money from Sheikh Jasim. Can be so too. Can be so. Just think about it. Solo in the house saying good morning Solo from the Man United agenda. Brilliant Solo. Go and check out their channels as well. They're doing also a lot of reporting regarding the sales process, but everything around Manchester United. Love coverage of games, pre-match. Big up Solo, guys. Noah in the house. Sorry, there's a lot of chats we have to go through. Of course, we've been talking a lot. Jaseem delegation stay in London, work for Manchester United, deals 24/7. They're not involved in aid holidays. That's what I mentioned, Noah. You've got a valid point. I mean, this is such a big deal. Like, business operations don't stop, right? For me, I used to work in Dubai. I used to work in the Middle Eastern region. And, when my bosses or the higher level Emiratis had 8 holidays, the business didn't stop. We Westerners worked. We took over. We were working 8 hours a day, or actually cut down 2 hours to 6 hours a day. But the thing is that business didn't stop, right? You still have people, part of the delegation, to still, basically the business don't stop. Yeah, nobody. If you understand what I mean. Inshallah. M1 saying welcome to the stream. I have to remember in the Middle East, Friday and Saturdays are classed as weekend for them. Given them that Friday is day off. Given that the Friday day off, Juma. Yeah, you're right. But they changed recently last year, my friend, to adapt to the Western world. So they're working Fridays. So maybe the locals not working, but they working normal. Before it was you work Sunday to Thursday, and then you had Friday and Saturday off, and back on Sunday again. But in Dubai, and I don't know if they've done it in Qatar as well, but at least in Dubai they're working Fridays. They've gone back to the Western.
It's not even the fact that they don't work over the Eid holidays. It's just out of manners of respect. You're not going to announce or complete a deal of this size, this magnitude for the country itself, whether in a religious period of fasting and celebration. This deal's going to be massive. The country's going to want to celebrate it, and you don't want something like this to overshadow the religious holiday. It's it's not.
Quickly going over the VR room here. Girish saying, guys, having this scum. I'm sorry. I have to read this out. Just got to be careful about the YouTube algorithm. They're heavily scrutinizing what you're swearing and not swearing. Means that they will still have influence in some capacity. We covered that, Paul, didn't we? Yeah. Some
They won't happen.
And certain. Let's see. Tashrik again. Any association with the Glazer must be broken. 100%. God, you're very active in the chat here. The association with the club has to tarnish the club and its fans and periods of success in the pitch that have to keep us going. So Jim surely knows how bad this is for him and INEOS. Yeah, we talked about that too. It is business suicide. And this is what I kind of said, like, it's kind of a little bit of filler. If I do this, what would be the reaction from the fan base? Sir Jim will be even more scrutinized equally scrutinized as the Glazers if you continue. And this is not good for him. Again, Tashrik, thank you. You've been active. INEOS shareholders are most likely not to be impressed with this because they are feeling the backlash as well. Yeah.
No.
No.
INEOS is a private company.
It is a private company. Yeah.
Sir Jim owns the most of a private company, so
Mm.
he says goes basically.
I'm just going
That's,
to take a last one before we continue. Time is at the essence. Sir Jim, Fahim Faisal, welcome to the stream, sir. Thank you for your contribution. SJ will, Sir Jim, all right? Is it?
no, I think it's going to Jaseem.
Oh, Sheikh Jasim, sorry. Sheikh Jasim, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit dyslexic. Will up his bid and that will be accepted, hopefully. It's just a PR by Glazers to drive the price. Now, on that note, let me hold my coffee there, Paul. What Fahim is saying, he will up his bid. I don't think so. I don't think so because I think that final bid and the nail in the coffin has been negotiated on the third week, 4 week period time. This is what we call the due diligence process, where the allegations are going, how about this clause? How about that clause? How about this? Till we come to a letter of understanding, right? Or memorandum of understanding. You've gone 200% over evaluation. Maybe you chucked in another million or two at the end of the day. But what we're seeing here with the third bidding is to allow, perhaps, the likes of Sir Jim Ratcliffe to come with a counter offer, or anyone else.
I think as well, this being leaked is also for Sir Jim, or not Sir Jim, for Sheikh Jasim to get the feeling about how seriously will this bid be taken by the Glazers themselves. Sir Jim has always said he's never going to overpay for United. Well, I'm sorry, when you're in the process, or sorry, Sheikh Jasim has said that as well. But when you're in the process, you're already overpaying for United. If he has any fear that this proposal could see the light of day, he'll up his bid and just end it there and then. Sir Jim is not upping his bid. He is just taking a portion of that away, because the 18% that you would not have to pay to Joel and Avram was the 18% of £4 billion or £5 billion, a lot of money. If it's 5 billion, it's £1 billion he's taking off the table that he can use himself. Sheikh Jasim just needs to up his bid. The other Glazers get a lot more money. They're going to go with that bid.
Okay.
I don't see them.
I don't see this happening either, because at the end of the day, I've been covering this ever since the summer. To be honest, like, I've been following the money, following the trails, reading all what everyone is saying, and it does not make sense for me. It's what you're saying. It's a filler to see. One is to sort of smear campaign the other, but we are definitely coming down to the contract and conclusion. And the only way you will find out will probably be by a club statement. I don't see this going to an exclusivity period. I believe that the bid is there. It's substantial cash money talks, and they've been taking this time period to evaluate the bidding offers and pros and cons and all of that jazz. So we're coming to the earn-out clause, and the earn-out clause is something that's been how the Glaze is going to earn, what the shareholders will be paid out, etc., etc. We saw when Twitter was bought by Elon Musk, he bought out the remaining shares. Like, the earn-out clause for the shareholders was he bought it $9 over the actually share price. You know what I mean? So everyone profits and walks away. And this is why I'm saying that money talks, and you should always following the money where it goes, right? So, having to say that, Paul, I think hopefully this covers a lot what people are wondering, and you don't read articles nowadays the way it used to be, because they formulate a headline and the rest is just centrifuge spin. It's like you're throwing your dirty laundry in the washing machine, and at the end of the day you get this spin, right, to dry your clothes. So I think we're coming out to the dry clothes at the end of the day. This is what I'm trying to say. Take it with a pinch of salt. Read, understand, follow the money. And if you're going for the protest Sunday, please make sure it's a peaceful protest. As violence is, as I say, don't incriminate yourself.
Definitely.
Definitely
Show your
don't. Support. Definitely don't. Just stay patient. I know it's difficult. I know everyone wants it, including myself, my Paul. We do everything we can to obtain as much as information to present to you. but I understand everyone is looking at the phones minute by minute to see if there's anything happening, right? But if we may conclude, Paul, this is the calm before the perfect storm.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
We can only hope.
I don't want to be I want to keep my powder dry still, to be honest, but
It's getting closer.
At the end of the day, when you dissect everything, when you connect all the dots, all the facts out there, when you read what the reporters are saying, you make up your own analysis, and mine at the end of the day say, this ain't gonna happen, right? This is not gonna be a third bid. This is like, a gamemanship. We are coming closer to May. We're coming closer to the end of the Premier League season. There's a protest going on Sunday. Will something happen before the weekend? We don't know. Nobody knows, not even the press. But we know that the press has been reporting that there is a deadline 10 p.m. apparently tomorrow, Friday.
Yeah,
Paul, it's been...
I could see it actually being true. They're wanting this process to be sped up. I can see a deadline.
Yeah. Yep, Paul, it's been an absolutely pleasure. People, we've gone a little bit over the time. Unfortunately, I have to go to work as well, and Paul has to also go to work. Guys, thank you for tuning into our podcast. It's been a sheer pleasure to engage with you, Paul. It's been a pleasure to engage with all the people in the chat room. This is Mick Rubys, MUFC Realist TV. Where do I point here? This is Paul White.
No, it's the other way.
Okay. To be safe, I do this. Paul White, again, a pleasure, sir, to have you on. Of course, we're playing a game tomorrow. Oh, no, we're playing a game today, so we're excited about footballing things.
And remember, we're playing the very dangerous Tottenham.
Oh, yeah. Toothless Tottenham, who, by the way, have sacked one manager, sacked the interim, and appointed another one, and has a few injuries. But that's a topic for another discussion. This is about takeovers. This is Mick Rubys, MUFC Realist TV. If you do, like and subscribe to this video. Tell people about this, others, about our community. It's not mandatory, but it certainly helps our growth as a community, as a global fan base as well. Please be nice to each other on the socials, hug each other in the traffic, and don't be angry, because sales is probably going to happen very soon. Thank you, Paul. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers. Thank you. Bye for now. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching MUFC Realist TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on the socials.